Hello and welcome to the Irish NFL Show, coming to you from the TapHouse here in Ranelagh, a place where we're hosting a big watch party, our first one of the season, starting with Pittsburgh Steelers playing against the New England Patriots. The last Steelers game, of course, before they come to Dublin. Brian, let's preview this one. Firstly, I'm really looking forward to seeing this place sort of really come alive with NFL fans. It's great, obviously, having these screens in the back. It's very, there's a very kind of American feel to this place. But this is, of course, a prestige battle, the Battle of the Six Rings, as I was saying with Ben during the week. But the battle of two teams who defensively haven't necessarily looked as strong as it should have, particularly when it comes to the Steelers. We've expected a lot better from the Steelers defense this year. And this game in Foxborough is going to be a key one for them to get right.
Yeah, quite a surprising aspect for the Steelers team this year. When you look at all the previews and the content in which we did in the lead up to the season, we spoke about Steelers defense being kind of the marquee piece of this team, and was Aaron Rodgers come in as quarterback, and we felt he'd be a huge compliment to the offense. We felt this team would go as far as this defense would go. So to be here 2 weeks into a season in which, they got over the hump week one in terms of beating the Jets with a high-scoring affair. Many people selected them, including ourselves, to beat the Seahawks last week. We thought we'd be coming to the TapHouse on Sunday with a Steelers team that are 2-0, but that's not the case. 1-1, very sloppy last weekend, and defensively, Sam Darnold and that Seahawks did a number on them.
It's mad though, because they conceded. Well, I was here watching it when they're playing against the Jets the first week. They conceded 30 points. I kind of put that down to its early season nerves. Justin Fields came out with a really good plan. The Jets managed to run the ball really well, which is something. And then against the Seahawks, I thought they'd do a lot better. But Sam Darnold, fair enough, he gave away 2 interceptions early in the game, but in the second half, the Steelers' defense I thought was quite. The concentration lacked. They reminded me a little bit of almost of Liverpool at points last night. But they're facing against a Patriots team who mightn't necessarily be the best equipped to make the most of those lapses of concentration. So this actually might be a get-right game for the Steelers' defense, I think.
Yeah, well, the Patriots are an interesting dynamic because week one against the Raiders, a lot of people felt they'd win that game, and it was a very slow start from them. Never really got going whatsoever. And then the game last weekend, at times looked like it was going to get away from them. We saw late on the Dolphins are driving to win the game. There was a touchdown that wasn't because he went over on the perimeter. But the Dolphins had a really effective game offensively last week, and they did do well in large parts against the Patriots. It's hard to know what Patriots team are going to turn up on Sunday. I think we know what we're going to get from this Steelers team. They're going to be certainly trying to put a mark down before they travel out to Dublin, and then a big week ahead for every fan in Ireland for this game. But this game is key in many ways because they've got a Vikings team on the other side, and we're not going to necessarily discuss that game, but the Vikings are 1-1. They've got a big game against the Bengals this weekend, so a lot of talking points next week, but it's interesting to see what happens on Sunday. Yeah,
really looking forward to kicking off Steelers Dublin week here with their last game in America before they come to Dublin. What do you think? Who do you think is going to come out on top of this battle? Make sure you come and let us know. By the way, if you are here on the night for the watch party, there are 2 tickets to that game in Croke Park available to be won by a lucky winner here. So make sure if you're here, you can win them. So if you're not coming to the game, or if a friend who isn't coming to the game, there's as good a chance as any to make sure you get them. For now, thank you very much for listening to the Irish NFL Show. How good are you at karaoke, by the way? Do you think you can sing as good as a tune as the Eagles have been singing so far this year? Brian O'Leary, very much looking forward to being here in the TapHouse on Saturday. The Rams and Eagles will be the other big game we're showing, as well as the Steelers and Patriots. Amazing how I forgot about the Patriots. Before we talk about this, though, have you a karaoke hit? What do you usually sing?
These days, and for the past 10 years, it's been Heartbreak Hotel, because that's what it feels like for the New York Giants fan. Even last Sunday, when we're 25 seconds away from a victory, we still find a way to lose it. And the Eagles don't help by winning Super Bowls in the meantime and going to the playoffs continuously and having good partners in the TapHouse who happen to support the Eagles. I mean, it's really all coming together for me, isn't it?
I know, yeah. And not only that, you were there in New Orleans last year for the Eagles' greatest moment in their history as they absolutely demolished the Chiefs. I'm a bit more of I always like murdering Mustang Sally after a few drinks. So,
shocking.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's
great room in there for fans on Sunday who find a way to see their team win if they are coming along to the TapHouse for our watch party, because Conor was in there last week beating a few tunes out, and it's a great environment. In fact, you can even watch a game in there. So if anybody on Sunday wants to catch a particular game, we'll make it happen. We'll put them in there for the evening. Maybe Ben Costello and his girlfriend will be having a nice close affair in there for the evening.
I did a karaoke type. I'm not quite sure. It'll be interesting to see when they come on. But he is part of the AV club, so I suppose he should be singing. Let's talk about the game very quickly, by the way, between the Eagles and the Rams. It's an interesting one, Brian, because we haven't actually spoken a lot about the Rams, even though they're 2-0. They're in a very competitive division where the Niners, the Cardinals, and the Rams are all 2-0, and the Seahawks are 1-1 behind them. It's something I touched on with Ben during the week. But yet, their victories haven't been remarkably convincing, in that they had to face against a Tennessee team who were very much in transition last week. put 33 points on them. The previous week, offense took a while to get going at home against the Houston Texans. So this game against the Philadelphia Eagles, who we know they run incredibly close in the playoffs last year, is by far the toughest test they have faced. And if the Rams are going to be talked about as being real Super Bowl contenders, as we talk about the Lions, the Packers, the Eagles, they need to really put up a good performance here.
Yeah, and all summer long, everybody was suggesting this was the team that ultimately would put it up to the Eagles over the course of the season and then into the playoffs. So to be playing each other at this stage of the season, a measuring stick type of game, because as you touched on there, the Rams are 2-0, but we're not sure really what we've seen from them. They played quite comprehensive offensively in the second half last week, again against a team that people don't believe are going to do much this season. Still think back to that playoff game in the snow, and outside of that Bills-Chiefs championship game, it was the best game of the playoffs. The Rams went home licking their wounds, thinking we had a real opportunity to put the Eagles out.
They probably should have won that game. There were so many key moments in that, and I just wonder whether they'll be able to put it up to them again. But they're against an Eagles team who, as Kieran has alluded to during the week, didn't even need to get out of second gear to handle the Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium. That's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, well, we saw two defenses in that game that really stepped up. I think this Sunday will be where Matthew Stafford is. A lot of suggestions he's carrying an injury, he's gone into the season. Devontae Adams is our new X factor on offense. Like how well can he get into the game? Can he dominate the Eagles secondary? I think ultimately it'll come down to that as opposed to the Chiefs offense, which we know will get going over the course of the 4 quarters. And Saquon Barkley inevitably will probably have a big game, and so will Jalen Hurts. But it'd be interesting to see as well the wide receiver room with the Eagles, because AJ Brown has been suggesting over the last week they're not willing to take any calls, but something doesn't strike me as all right there. He seems a little bit agitated. Devontae Smith on the opposite side probably isn't, but that's an interesting dynamic. But I think ultimately it'll come down to how well this Eagles defense can play against this Rams offense, and can they stop them?
That was a Freudian slip, because you kind of secretly hoped that the Chiefs were coming into this.
Well, I'm thinking Sunday Night Football, Chiefs Giants. That's the real one for me.
Actually, I wonder, for people who are going to be staying watching the late window, how long will people be staying? Will we be able to really let their voice go before that Sunday Night Football game between the Chiefs and the Giants? Yeah. So look, like I was saying, if anybody wants to come and join us for our first big watch party of the year, make sure you come down to the TapHouse in Ranelagh. There will be 2 tickets for the Croke Park game the following week available, but if you're not here, you can't win. So it's the best way to make sure that you get yourself in with a chance of being there in Croke Park for the first ever NFL regular season game to take place in Ireland. But for now, thank you very much for listening to the Irish NFL Show.